Hello and welcome to the Loop and Bar podcast. This is episode 6 and I'm Kate and I'm coming to you from North Wales in the UK. So it's a podcast about knitting, sewing and crochet and other craft maybe if it comes up, but mainly knitting. And my last podcast was a couple of weeks ago, so I've got a few new things to share on this podcast. I'm going to try and, I know I say this every single week, but I really am going to try and keep this a little bit shorter because I've got a chicken in the oven and I've got under an hour before the timer goes off. So yeah, I need to make this under an hour, definitely. So I am just going to dive straight in this week, which is something I don't normally do. I normally chat for about 10 minutes. So I'm going to start off with a Welsh word of the episode. And I'm just going to go straight to it this time as well. It's the Welsh word for cuppa, cup of tea. The phrase for a cup of tea. And that is panad o de. If you just want to say cuppa, because you might be drinking coffee or something else, the word for cuppa is panad. Depending on your locality, you might say panad or you might say paned. And I can actually never remember which one Avion says because he says it quite quickly. You can't always distinguish anyway. So, and you don't need to worry about if you're saying the right one in the right place because people don't mind. Everyone says it differently. So, yeah. So, Mageni panad o de. I've got a cup of tea. Except I haven't. I've finished it all. Right, that's the Welsh word. I'm just going to point out that this week I'm recording on a slightly different software. I normally just use Photo Booth and then I put it into iMovie and flip it all round so that when I show anything with writing on, it's the right way round. And then upload all of that onto YouTube. But when you do that, what I've noticed is you lose a lot of the quality. It's not brilliant quality to start with. I need a proper camera for that, which I'm saving for. But you lose some of the recording quality once you import it from Photo Booth into iMovie. So this week I'm having a go at recording directly into iMovie. So, and the really good thing about that is, is that it's already flipped. The screen's already flipped so that like later I'm going to show you something that's got a letter on it and it will be the right way around. But I'm still getting used to where my hands need to be when I'm showing you things. So it's probably going to be a bit wonky this week. Bear with me. A bit funny probably. Just consult my list. Oh, I'm whizzing through it because I don't want the timer to go. I've also got someone coming for tea and Avion's due back from being at work on the farm, so I've told him not to come in and interrupt, but he might not be able to resist it. So, right, I'm going to dive into my FO. I've got a finished object at last. Hooray! I finished my canopy. There it is. I haven't woven in the ends, so actually, is it really an FO? Are we allowed to call it an FO? I'm going to call it an FO. Just pretend the ends are woven in. But this is my canopy shawl by Melody of Mandarins, and I will just put all of the details to do with the shawl, including the yarn, the pattern, the cal, everything like that. You can either look back over the previous podcast episodes, because I think I've shown it in nearly every one. Well, in the last 2 or 3 anyway. Or you can look on my Ravelry pages, project pages, or look in the show notes. I'll just show the finished object now because I've talked about it a lot in previous podcasts. So here it is. Now, it's going to be really weird for me to show you. So bear with me. I'll just try and give you a close-up of that beautiful border. There we are. And that lovely stitch definition. Don't really know how to and it's blocked. You might be able to tell because it's looking quite crisp. If I just go back a bit, oh, you might be able to see more of it. Oh, yeah, I'm going to be doing this a lot during this episode, going from left to right because I just don't know which way I'm supposed to be showing things. So, yeah. Whoops. Okay, I'm really, really pleased with this. I love it. I'll try and give you a bit more of a better close-up. I don't know how well that's going to work. That border is, I just love that border, it's so gorgeous. It's an applied border, and I thought it was going to take a really long time to do, but actually I really, really whizzed through it. Once you start the applied border, you're pretty much finished. It won't take long at all. It's loads of fun to do, and it means you don't have to actually cast off loads of stitches all in one go. So I'll just put it on for you to see. I'm not an expert yet at putting, oh no, oh dear, at putting shawls on. It's the first one I've ever knit. Oh dear. Everything's the wrong way round. Okay, that way. Look, these. Oh, I've got to weave all the ends in. Sorry about that. Just pretend you're not looking at the ends. Sorry, I'm going to have to fiddle around a lot to, whoops, to try and show you it properly. And there's that lovely border. I love it. It's beautiful. I'll look down and I know what I'm doing. So it's a little bit warm to wear this at the moment. I've just made it all wonky because I can't see really what I'm doing in the camera. Anyway, you get the idea. This is how it'll look. It's going to be really lovely with my coat on in the autumn, or I'll probably may wear this in the summer if I go out for the evening somewhere, just with a jumper or a light, with a cardigan and the shawl, just to keep me warmer. I actually really love the reverse side of it as well. Oh, I think it probably looks the same. Oops, it probably won't look much different trying to show you it on the camera. And I'm really happy with how the yarn has turned out. I was really worried when I first started knitting this canopy because I thought I'd chosen the wrong type of yarn, which I have spoken about before as well. But now that I've blocked it, I'll just fold it to see if you can see it a little bit better without so much light coming through it. But now that I've blocked it, I'm really pleased about the yarn. The stitch definition, oh there we go. This way, that's it. With the stitch definition. That way. There we go. Anyway, it's a really beautiful pattern. Whoops. The cowl has now finished. And I won a prize. Yes. I haven't got it yet though. Melody, who was running the cowl, is currently in, I believe she's in France at the moment, visiting her relatives. But she ran the cowl throughout May, yeah, and she did a prize giving at the end, and I was really lucky, and I've won a prize. And so I won't tell you what it is because I haven't got it yet. So I'll wait till I have received it, which might be I don't know how long she's away for, so I'll be patient and wait until that lovely prize arrives, and when it does, I'll show you on the podcast. Because it will be the start of a new project, most likely. Okay, so yeah, I'm really, really pleased with that. I love that, and I can't wait to weave the ends in and to start wearing it. I may well actually knit another one of those because it was really enjoyable to knit. Okay, the next finished object is a sewing finished object. Can you tell I'm whizzing through this week? Because my chicken's going to be cooked soon. It's another project bag. I've been making project bags pretty much since I did the last podcast. I said I was going to possibly make some to sell, and I've been spending the last couple of weeks just kind of practicing the pattern, practicing the construction and making them to a standard that I'm really happy with. and I've got a few that I'll show you now. They are possibly going to be the start of what I might put on into an Etsy shop. But the one I'm going to show you right now is mine, and you'll see why in a minute. But it's possibly something I might do as a custom make project bag. I'm still trying to decide whether to do that or not. But, whoa, which way should I do it? There we go. Ta-da! There's my, oh, where is it? That way. Sorry. You'll go dizzy watching this episode, I think. There's the label at the bottom, my Welcom bar label. And it's like, as you can see, it's a striped, it's a poly cotton, I think, and I got it from a big fabric shop about an hour away. Whoops. And it's got a K on it for Kate. I've just appliqued that on, which is not showing up very well, never mind. And that's, the K is cut out of a really nice Tilda fabric. And the inside, for this one I've just done a cream. I thought that went really well with it actually. It's like a cream, it's actually an Egyptian cotton. I had some Egyptian cotton sheets that were in packets that hadn't even been unwrapped. And they were just in the house when we moved in. They were in a cupboard. Yeah, we didn't buy them, but they're brand new. Well, they're totally unused. So, and they're all for they're fitted single beds. So perhaps I should have asked friends and family if they maybe wanted them, but I didn't. I put them in my fabric cupboard and chopped them up and made them into fabric bags. But they give this really lovely, smooth, crisp quality to the lining of the bag. So anyway, there's the bag again. Whoops. I will get the hang of this. I might, oh dear, no, sorry. There's the bag again, it's blank on the back. And I've got some yarn that I'm going to show you a little bit later on in the podcast in there. I filled it just for the purposes of showing you. There isn't actually a project as such yet in there. And for this I've just used bias binding for the drawstrings, which is really smooth. I really like it, and it's really nice to sew with. So yeah, I don't know if I'll use the bias binding for the ones that I'll sell. Maybe I will, just for the basic bags, because I really like the way it pulls through the drawstrings. So I'll show you 3 others that I made with Etsy in mind. So these may or may not be appearing in an Etsy shop, but I will make more of an announcement if that does happen, because I also have more bags ready. But my sewing machine, something's wrong with the tension. I was sewing one of the bags today and changed a thread in the bobbin, and the tension, I can't get it right on the sewing machine now, so I had to just stop. Production had to stop. I shall have to take it to the shop, I think, or go on YouTube and just do a quick what do I do about my sewing machine tension. But it needs to be serviced anyway, and I keep meaning to take it into the local wool shop. The lady's husband there does Benina. It's a Benina sewing machine, so he services them. So it might have to go into the sewing machine shop. So anyway, here's one of the bags. It's identical to one that I made for myself, so which I've already shown you. Whoops, so really I'm showing you this for the second time. Oh, which way? There's my label, if you can see it. And I've just made all the same size, just purely because I'm practicing. It's got a spotty lining. Tilda fabric, I think that one is. The outside is possibly a Moda fabric. I think it is, but I'm not entirely sure. And it's got the bias binding for the drawstrings again. It's stitched over, folded and stitched over. But it's got this nice crisp, smooth quality to it. So there we go. I haven't got anything in this one, it's empty. So that's one. So that could be going on Etsy. Whoops. Here's another one made with Liberty fabric. It's got birds on it. I'm just whizzing through these really because the quality of the camera for doing the recording isn't so brilliant. I'm only just going to give you a quick impression of what I've been up to, really, rather than trying to show you in any great detail. But what? I've actually got a dress made in this fabric as well, which I may show in a different episode because I'm a bit pushed for time today. I won't. It's behind me, but can you see it? It's there. It's the one in the front, but you can't really see it. So I've got quite a bit of this fabric as well. So I could make a few more of these. I've got it in 3 different colours as well. It's Liberty, but I've forgotten. I think it's called Birdsong, the print. And then I've just done the Egyptian cotton cream lining. Whoops, nice plain simple cream lining. Oh, where's the label? It's got a label on it. It's got a label on the bottom, that one. I quite like, I had a little play around with doing the label as a tab, you know, sort of coming out the side, which I quite like. But I do quite like just having them flat. So for the time being, my labels are stitched on flat. And then this one, I haven't managed to put the drawstring into this one yet because the sewing machine went on the fritz. But again, this is some stash fabric. I'll try and get it closer. I don't think you're going to see very much. It's birds though. It's a small bird print. Some like a duck egg bluey grey. And this is some linen, like a linen mix with a linen trim on it here. Oh, there, my label. And then I went a bit bonkers and on the inside and did the spotty fabric for that one. Because it's so sort of quite pale and serene on the outside, I thought I'll put some nice bright spotty fabric. It's like a dull raspberry red, not raspberry red, it's like a dull red colour, this polka dot fabric, and that's all cotton. Well, it's a bit of a linen there, but it's a cotton bag. And that'll have a drawstring once my sewing machine is fixed. There's the back of it. So there's 3. I did make another one, which I'm not going to show because it's a very special one and it's for a certain person. So I don't want to spoil the surprise because I think she may well be watching the podcast at some point, this episode. So I'm going to keep that a secret and she may well show it in her podcast sometime in the near future. So anyway, I was really pleased with that one. Is that all my finished objects for this week? That's all my finished objects for this week. The next thing I wanted to show was my favourite object from around the house. See, I'm trying to keep all the chat in between to a bit of a minimum this week. Normally I babble, I'm doing it now, can't help it. But I'm just gonna keep going from one section to the next. So I don't get run over and make a long episode again. See, I'm already probably halfway through. I'm doing well. Anyway, let's see, went off on a diversion there. Right, favourite object from around the house. My best friend gave me this. She sent it to me. I used to live in Cornwall. And she was living back in our hometown at the time. She now lives in Leeds, so we're not from Leeds. We're from the coast, which is about an hour and a half away. But she lived in Leeds, I lived in Cornwall. We were a full day's travel away from each other. And she loves knitting and she loves tea. And she sent me this. It's one of those little tapestry. It's a cup of tea, obviously. And it opens up. And it's one of those little, it's like a plastic mesh. Where should I put it? Oh, there you go. So you can see my face as well. Oh, it's so cute. So it's like a plastic, that plastic tapestry mesh with the colours and the pattern just embroidered onto it. And inside, can I do this? Yeah. There's a little poem. She didn't make it up, it just came in it. I think she bought this from a craft fair. And it came with this piece of little paper in it. whoops, which I'll read out to you now because it's impossible for me to show you the right way. And it says, "There's no such thing as distance between a friend or two, so it's easy to imagine I'm sitting here with you. I'm thinking of you always and send a cup of tea and hope while you are sipping it, you'll kindly think of me." And it sort of made me cry a bit when she sent me it because I was really missing her. And the thing that we love to do is knit, drink tea and chat. So that stays in here with me. So I've always got a little bit of Emily with me. It's so cute. It's got, oh God, it's a bit grubby. It's moved house a lot of times. I wish I'd never shown you the back now. Oh, but it's so cute and I love it. Oh. So that's one of my favourite objects from around the house. It's a lovely thing to send to a friend. Right, what have I got on my needles? The first thing I think I'll talk about is the Andrea shawl. And again, because I've spoken about this particular project in the past 2 podcast episodes, I won't give lots and lots of detail here. I'm just going to show you what I've done so far and tell you about what I've decided about it. It's quite a big decision. But anyway, here it is so far. Oh, hang on. I've taken the needles off the circular because I've just had to use them for something else. It may be a little bit crumpled as well because it's been sitting in the project bag. But here's what I've done so far. So it's the Andrea shawl. I'll put the details in the show notes, or look on my Ravelry project pages for the pattern and for the yarn. And it's okay. So I haven't really done very much since I showed this last on the podcast. I've probably knitted. I've knitted about 1 inch there of the stockinette. The last time I showed it, I'd completed this lace, so I'd done all the way up there. So really, I've only done this bit here. And the reason for that is I would have done a lot more. The reason for that is it coming off the edges of the needles? Yes, it doesn't actually matter because of what I'm going to tell you. That's the full length of the shawl. Let me just go back a bit to show you. It's a tiny bit crinkled. It's a tiny bit, what's the word? Squashed up onto the needles, but not very much. So that's nearly its full length. So if you imagine, let me go closer again. Sorry about the noise. If you imagine that going around my neck like that, it's actually, I'll just turn around so you can see. I hope you can see that. It won't actually reach all the way around my neck. So basically what I'm trying to say is it's way too small. I'm just going to stand up to see if you can see the pattern a bit better though, because it's very beautiful. I think it's not really showing up very well. Never mind. Making a bit of a dog's dinner of this, aren't I? The reason it's too small is absolutely nothing to do with the pattern and the sizing. It's because, there we go, I am knitting it on with yarn that is about half of the weight that it should be, as is recommended in the pattern. So it should be pretty much like a double knit, I think. And this is like a fingering weight, I'm sure. And I'm knitting it on the needles that are appropriate to the yarn rather than what was suggested in the pattern. So that has obviously made a shawl which is about probably half the size that it should be. And I don't really know why I didn't actually think of that when I started knitting it. I knew it would be a bit smaller. I'll just show you the pattern in a bit more detail while I'm talking. I knew it was going to be a bit smaller, but I did not know it was going to be so small. There's the V. There's the lovely bit. So that'll be the bottom bit. Whoops. So basically, this is, you start by knitting the full length, the longest part of the shawl, which is nice actually, because then you get less stitches as you go. So you just got to go backwards and forwards now, decreasing in the middle until you've got a sort of an even top. And so obviously I'm going to end up with a really tiny shawl that won't, well, it'll just be a triangle that will just sort of hang over the back of my neck, which I'll never be able to wear, will I? There won't be any way that I'll be able to wear it. And because I love it so much, I love the weight of the yarn, I love how it's working up, I've decided to frog it back, pull it all down, and basically add, well, double the stitch count. I think it's going to be really easy to do because the lace repeat is, well, I can see how I'm going to be able to add on multiples of the lace repeat and just basically make it either another half bigger or double, maybe double. It's been a bit daunting. I sort of wanted to do it a few days ago and get started on it, but I didn't because one, it was quite daunting thinking about pulling all this lovely work back, and two, I actually wanted to show it on the podcast before I did that, just to show the progress and that the lovely lace border pattern. So next time you see that, there'll probably be kind of less of it in a way, but sort of more of it, if you know what I mean. So the Andrea shawl continues. I love it. I absolutely love knitting on it, but it needs to be bigger. So because I love it so much, I'm going to pull it back and do it properly, make it into a proper size for myself. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay now I've talked about it, now I've showed it, I can actually get on with it and do that. So hopefully it'll just take me another couple of weeks to get back to the point where I am with it now, but at a much longer length, so fingers crossed. So the next thing on my needles is Mystery Whip. So I'm going to show you this week. I've got the little components all knitted up, and then I'll show it again next week. When I show it next week, it'll be completely finished. So basically not next week, probably be 2 weeks. The next podcast episode, I shall be showing the finished object. But here is what I've got so far. So the Mystery Whip, if you didn't see last week's episode, is basically I'm knitting an item that is somebody else's pattern. It's a paid for pattern. I haven't told anybody what it is because I just thought it'd be fun to knit something and show you it as I went along, and maybe you could guess. Well, you don't have to guess, but yeah, maybe if you want to, you can have a go at guessing to see what it is. But you know, maybe I just thought it would be quite interesting to knit something and not tell you what it is till the very end. So here's what I've got so far. I've sort of blocked this to within an inch of its life, and I don't think I should have blocked it at all, actually. I blocked it so I could show you it better, but now I've done it, I don't think I should have blocked it, but never mind, it'll still be fine. But that's what I've got so far. Whoops. Okay, so I'll just show you it in different ways. I'm not going to tell you. I won't say which way it should be or how it will end up looking, but anyway, there you go. So that's the main part of it, one of the main parts. It's got 2 colours. In the lovely Shetland Spindrift. Oh, I love working with it. Absolutely love it. Now the next bits are going to be a bit fiddly to show you because they're all little, but it's just some components, basically. Whoops. And I've got loads of threads. I've left the threads on because I need to stitch it all together. So lots of little bits. There we go. Can I show you a bit better, closer up? Well, I'll show them one by one. Whoops. So there's that bit. There's 2 of those. There is this piece. There's 2 of those. Here's the big bit. There's just one of these. It's a bit difficult to show you the shape because it's rolling up a bit. Whoops. like I say, it's all going to be stitched together. So there's one of those. Oh, I'll try and get it so you can see it a bit better. Trying to catch the light a bit better. Covered my face up then, didn't I? And then here's the really fun bit, made of the crazy yarn. Any ideas? I really hope this works. I've got no idea what it's going to look like once I've, well, I know what the pattern photograph shows, but whether I'll be able to actually create that. I'm aiming to get it exactly as it's shown on the pattern. The next step for me is sewing all the bits together and then using these two colours, which is probably going to be difficult to show you. Let me put the label the right way. Oops. Hang on a minute. There you go, Jameson's The Lovely Spindrift. Oh gosh, this is really tricky. So it's a really dark pine green and a beautiful mix of rusticy brown colour, sort of brown and grey. And I don't knit with these, but I use them for a bit of decoration. Cryptic clue for you. So the next time I show you it, it will be finished. There we go. Yeah, I'm really excited to have that actually, to have it as a finished object. So yeah, next time I show you it'll be completely finished. So you've got another, probably 2 weeks to have a little guess at what it might be. So that's what's on my needles at the moment. Have I got anything else on my needles? I've got a new cast on, but I'm first going to show you. Shall I show you the past object? I'm very quickly going to show you a past object. It's there. There. Don't just get up and get it, Kate. I did this how long ago? I finished it last year, I think, and it's something that's for our bed. So it's massive and it's crochet. It's massive, but it's all folded up and chunky and squishy and lovely, and it's a blanket, as you may be able to tell. The whole, not all of it's made actually. The colours are made in Quince & Co. Which one? Quince & Co. Osprey, I believe. I made a jumper out of Osprey and fell in love, absolutely fell in love with the yarn. It's so springy and soft and beautiful and gorgeous. And I wanted all of the colours, so I basically bought quite a lot of them, a skein of quite a lot of their colour palette, which was a very big extravagance, and made this out of it. So I'll just show you a big sort of bundle of it first. Don't really know, it's so big I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to show you this. I haven't really planned it very well, but I'll have to stand back and show you. And then I crocheted a square with each of the colours. I'm taking it over there, I'm going to stand over there with it. You won't see me, you'll just see lots of blanket. And then I'll tell you more about it. So it's really big. Oh no, you can see me. It's really, really big. How can I do it? Didn't really think very well about how I was going to show you this. I know, I'll do that. So it looks all stretchy in a weird shape, but it's just basically a massive square made up of different coloured squares. Lots of different coloured squares. Not doing the best job of showing it off. I'll turn it that way so that then you can see some of the other colours. That one's like a teal blue, because it just looks black when I show you it like that. Just rest it on the stool a minute. There's honey. I think that one's called pomegranate, that colour. So one full skein of Osprey. I basically started in the middle and just crocheted round and round and round till I had pretty much nothing left. So it was easy to make all the squares the exact same size. and just a nice way to use up full skeins of the yarn, make massive great big patches. I think that's Snap Pea, that colour. Carries Yellow, I think it was called. I think this blue is called Storm. Apricot, I love that colour, that's one of my favourites. Apricot. I think this one's Twig, that's like a brown colour. Whoop. I can't remember what that teal blue is called. It's like a dark peacock blue. And then there's, maybe that one was pomegranate actually, there's a red there as well. Whoops. Anyway, you get the idea. I'll just fold it in half, because then maybe not so much of the light will come through it. Oh dear. Sorry, really wonky blanket showing here. Basically, it's big enough to fit on our king-sized bed. There we go, and that's half of it. So, I love it. It's really heavy and really cosy, and it's actually too warm to use it at the moment, so it's gone onto one of the spare beds, just to show it off really, just so I can carry on looking at it. Just chuck it on the table. So yeah, so as I say, that's Quince & Co. The colours are all Quince & Co. All the cream in the middle was a Rowan chunky yarn, which I've completely forgotten the brand actually, but it is on my blog. If you were to look on my blog and go through some of the past posts, you can actually find it on there, and I think I have written on there what the yarns are and all the colours. So maybe possibly put it on Ravelry as well. So if you're interested in that, you can find out more details about it on the blog, and there are some better pictures. You can just see it on the bed basically, so you can see it a lot better than I've just shown you it there. But yeah, just thought I'd share a past object with you. Looking at my notes, so new cast on. Right, so I've been waiting to show you this for ages, and I can't remember if I showed you it, if I showed you the yarn last week, but I think I ran out of time and didn't show you it. So finally, here is the yarn that I've wanted to show you for two past episodes. I haven't got round to, but I've only just cast this project on because I've been busy with the shawls and all the other stuff. So here's the yarn. Oh, how well I'm going to be able to show you, I do not know. It's sort of a greeny blue. It's called, is it called petrol or diesel? I think it's got a name of a fuel. I think it's petrol mix, and it's alpaca, drops alpaca, and it's really soft. And I don't know if I can get it anywhere where the colour will show true, because it's not showing up very true actually. It's making it look like a darker, sort of more royal blue, but it's a really beautiful mix of like peacock, teal blue, and sort of pine greens all mixed in. So how many skeins did I buy? Balls. This is a ball of yarn. I can't remember how many, probably about 8, something like that. And here it is caked up. There's my cake of yarn. And this is what I've got so far. Not very much. It's tiny. I'm a little bit worried that that's really tiny. It's a top down. Oh, I didn't tell you what the pattern was. It was called the Carpino, so it's a jumper. And it's stocking stitch for the back and the arms, and a lace panel, a really sweet little lace 4-stitch lace repeat. My best friend Emily, is knitting it in the exact same yarn, but in a really beautiful orange rust colour. Basically, I just saw hers and then wanted to make one for myself. So you start by casting on the neck stitches and then joining in the round. And this is pretty much as big as it gets, so it's not bunched up. That's the right word, isn't it? Bunched up. I don't know if that's big enough to go around my neck. Oh, the oven timer's gone off. I shall be back shortly. I need to go and get the chicken out of the oven. Hello, I'm back, and it's now the next morning. Sorry, so I might look a bit different because I've got a jumper on now, and my voice might sound a bit different because it's 7 o'clock in the morning. So I'm doing this podcast in sort of two halves. I don't know how weird that's going to be when I watch it back, but we'll see. I had to go and get a chicken out the oven, and then I realised I also had to just then start doing vegetables and getting ready because my friend was coming round for tea and Avion was finishing work and it was time for tea. And then my friend stayed a while, and then, or our friend should I say, and then after she left we had a lovely time, we had lovely tea, lovely time with our friend, and then when she left we realised Avion had to do some farm computer work and I had to help him, so we had to spend an hour finding lots of cow passports out of a big pile because something is happening today where he needs the passports. So it was something like 5 o'clock in the afternoon a minute ago in the podcast, and now it's 7 o'clock in the morning the following morning. So I'm going to try to finish what I was talking about, looking slightly different. I don't know if the room's changed around, it shouldn't have done, but the lighting might be slightly different. Sorry if that's a bit weird, but yeah, I just wanted to finish the podcast and finish what I was talking about because I couldn't possibly have left it where I just ran off to get a chicken out of the oven. So, so I've just watched the last few minutes of what I recorded, and I was talking about the Carpino jumper, and I realised that I didn't say who the pattern is by, so I'll just look at my notes so I get it right. Where is it? Oh, it's by Carol Feller, and I got this. I got the pattern from Ravelry. I downloaded it from Ravelry, but you can buy it from different places too, and you can get either the paper version or or just a download. So I just downloaded it and printed it out. So yeah, and as I was just saying, this is what I've got so far. So I'll try not to repeat myself because to me I haven't spoken about it since last night, but for you, well, I've literally only just been speaking about it. So anyway, there we go. I think what I need to do is put it onto a longer lace, a longer cable, and then actually try and get it over my head and see how it's sitting around my neck. So I think I'll do that in a minute just to check, because I did do the gauge swatch. The pattern called for a gauge swatch to be done in the round. I'm just trying to think what it was I did now. I'm using the exact yarn weight and needle sizes that are recommended, but do you know what? I hate swatching in the round. Normally I absolutely don't mind doing a gauge swatch. It doesn't bother me. In fact, I think it's really important, especially when it's a garment. But I hate swatching in the round. All those loops at the back and the bits at the side that are all just loose. So you've got to do a bigger swatch so that you get a good portion in the middle that's nice and tight and the correct gauge, because you've got all these bits that are coming out the end. If anybody's got a really good tip on how to do a really good in the round gauge swatch, please let me know, because I really hate doing them and I'm rubbish at it. So, and it said to do something like 36 stitches over, or 20 something stitches over 36 rows. So that just seemed like a really massive, really horrible, massive in the round gauge swatch to me. So I probably did about 5 rows and got really fed up. bad knitter. And didn't obviously block it, didn't even take off the needles, didn't even do the lace bit. You were supposed to do some in the stockinette stitch and some in the lace. I just did about 5-6 rows of the lace. Is that all I did? Maybe I did a few more than that, but I probably only knitted about an inch. No, it wasn't even an inch. And then I just squashed it down onto the table and put my tape measure on and sort of determined that it was a bit small and then cast it on anyway. But at least I cast on the second size up, whereas normally I would cast on the first size up, the first size. Yeah. So actually this is a bit haphazard. But I think what I'll do is I'll just, like I say, I'll put this onto a stretchy cable needle and actually put it over my neck, because now it's joined in the round, I'm going to be able to tell whether or not this neck is going to be big enough. Because I'm not going to mind too much. Because it's a lace jumper, it's quite, the yarn is alpaca, so it's going to be warm, but it's a fine yarn, so it's going to be a lightweight jumper. And because it's got lace in the front, it's going to be a lightweight jumper. So, and because of that, I think I probably would like it to be more of a neckline like this, which is a little bit wider, rather than if you wanted a big cosy jumper and you wouldn't mind the neck being nice and cosy around your neck. So I think it would suit it better. And I think I haven't got the picture of the pattern. No, actually I have. I'll just have a look on I don't know if there's any point in me showing you it. I'll try. The printout's not good, but you won't be able to see any detail, just for the purpose of showing you the general shape of the jumper. Yeah, it's a fairly sort of loosish wide neck there, so I'm going to have to see if I can try and, if I've got the right size there. I don't want to go up a needle size to get the right gauge, because actually my gauge is a little bit tight for what it suggests, but I really like this fabric that it's created, so I'd rather go up a jumper size. Does that work? I don't know. Well, we'll see. If I can show you a bit. It's only stockinette stitch, so I don't really know why and there's no lace as such to show you at the moment. Yeah, don't know why I'm doing that. So anyway, hopefully next time you see that, I will have made a decision on the sizing. Maybe I'll have gone up a size. It's not too drastic at this point. There's not too much knitting to frog back and restart. And then hopefully I'll be able to show you a bit of the lace. But if you've got any tips on swatching in the round where you can avoid getting those awful loose edges, then I'd love to know. If there's any kind of technique where you can, I don't know, do extra twists or wraps or something at the edges, because I'd happily swatch in the round and do the full gauge swatch if I could avoid that happening. I don't know if you can hear the chickens, because it's 7 in the morning. I've got 3 hens, 3 red hens, and at around about this time they each go and lay an egg, which is brilliant. Can you hear that? I don't know if you can hear that or not. It's really loud to me, but anyway, they got up quite a while ago, and they're stalking around the garden, just making chickeny noises, and they're pretty loud. And if they lay an egg, now there's a little outhouse barn where they go with some hay on the floor, straw down on the floor, and if they start going and laying the eggs, they'll come out and they'll make a really big racket. But it's nice. I like it. Sort of wakes you up a bit, but yeah, you might hear the chickens pronouncing very loudly that they've laid their egg. We'll see. So, I actually think I've only got. Oh, I've got one maybe 2 more things to just talk about. And it's acquisitions. It's new stuff that I've bought anyway. So, and it's fabric. So I'll show you that, and I'll hope that we've got enough daylight at this time in the morning. This room gets the most sunlight after lunch, although it's lovely and light all the day through. It gets most light after lunch, but then again, sometimes it's a bit too bright at that time when I'm podcasting, so this might work quite well. But we'll just see how well these colours show up. So, because I've been making all these project bags, I've had fabric on my mind, and I have been trying to use my stash fabric really to make the project bags, because I've got plenty of lovely fabric in my stash. And the idea was just to see if I could make some really nice project bags using what I already had, without buying any more fabric just to start with. But of course I got a bit carried away. I went in the wool shop because I needed to buy sewing machine oil, and what else did I need to buy? A couple of things. Oh, bodkin. That is the best thing I've ever bought, a proper bodkin. Where is it? Oh, how can I show? Look at that, and it's got a really blunt end. That is fabulous. That's what I thread the drawstrings through with. I love it. How have I never bought a bodkin? It's the first time in my life that I've ever bought a proper bodkin. Up to now I've been using all sorts of things that I can just get hold of, but it's never worked very well. That thing is brilliant. And it was like, I don't know, £1 something. I don't know why I've never bought one of those. So that's one of my acquisitions, and that's been fantastic. But I couldn't resist buying some of this beautiful fabric. I nearly bought 3, but I talked myself out of that in the end, and I was very, very sensible, and I thought, I'll just buy 1. And it's Tilda fabric, so I'm not sure how feasible this is going to be in terms of buying it especially to make the project bags, because Tilda fabric is quite expensive because it's so beautiful. But I just love all of the beautiful patterns that the Tilda fabric has. So I might just make myself a project bag out of this, because if I were to make and sell project bags with Tilda fabric, they'd have to be really, really expensive to buy. So I'll just have to see. Perhaps I'll make one, work out how much it would cost, pop it on Etsy and just see, put it alongside the others. But this is the fabric that I bought, and I love these colours. So it's like it's a floral pattern, and I just got ½ metre of this, and then so that would be with project bags in mind. And then I bought this grey cotton lining, which is actually a Rowan fabric. It's a really pale, I'd say this is a dove grey. It looks a bit darker than it really is, but so that was sort of intended for the lining to go with this particular fabric. And then I just got a couple of threads to go with it. Oh, how come? You see, once you've actually bought all of this beautiful, these nice threads and all this lovely fabric, it actually turns out to be quite expensive. So I might have to stick to different types of fabric, which are equally beautiful, but not quite as expensive to actually purchase, because obviously I don't get them wholesale or anything. I just buy them from my local wool shop. Sells lots of fabric as well. She's brilliant. She's got everything. So she's got quite a few. She's got some different types of fabric. She's got the Tilda. She's got Rowan. She's got a few other brands of fabric as well. Is that Charlie? Hey, Charlie. You can say hello. Oh, I can't say hello, can you? She's not tall enough to say hello. There's Charlie's tail. Hiya. She wants her breakfast. She's wondering why we haven't got straight to getting her breakfast ready. You darling. Yeah. Yes, you want your doggy breakfast, don't you? So there, yeah, so that's my fabric. So I got 1/2 metre, which is plenty. This is it folded in half. I'll show it the right way up. So that's folded in half. I've got the I've got the wonky not sure how to show you it thing again. I got used to it yesterday, now I've forgotten how to do it. So that's half of it. So it's twice as long as that. So what I'm thinking is I can either make 2 small project bags with it and keep one for myself and then just try one on Etsy and see if anybody is prepared to pay whatever it might cost. I'm not sure what it would be yet. Or make one really nice big project bag for me just to keep. So I don't know about that. I'll have to make that decision at some point. Yeah, because it's just such a lovely fabric. The lovely thing about podcasting at this time as well is that I can hear all those lovely birds outside in the morning doing their bird song, which is beautiful. It's really sweet. And another acquisition was, now I've actually already made what I was wanting to make with this and given it to the person who was going to receive it. But if you follow me on Instagram or have seen anything I've put on Instagram over the last week or week and a half, you might have seen that, you might have seen this on Instagram. We have a niece called Mably who has just turned 5 during the week, and I decided to make her a birthday present. She's very, very into anything princessy, fairy, very, very girly, everything sparkly. She loves Frozen, she loves anything like that. And her last time I went round to see her a few weeks ago, she was trying to wear her little, she had these sort of net wings, the sort of things that are made with a wire, and you just put them on with little straps here or something. But she was getting really frustrated, and her mum said, oh, you know, they're broken and I need to make her some more, get her another pair because she can't wear those ones, they keep catching on things. And so I filed that away in my head and thought, well, her birthday's coming up, so I decided I'd make her a new pair of wings. And I've had this fabric. I decided not to make her the rigid pair. I went on Pinterest and had a look for ideas, and there was a fabulous a few different pictures on Pinterest about how to make some soft wings rather than the rigid ones with the wire. And I've already got this fabric in my stash, which is some tulle netting. So I'm not actually going to be able to show you the wings here, but this is leading on to a project in the pipeline because I'm going to make another pair for my other niece, Evie. So I shall show you the start of a project and a new acquisition here, and hopefully you'll see a pair of wings on my next podcast. So this is what I did make them from and what I'll be making the other pair from. So it's this really beautiful draping tulle, and I bought this quite a few years ago. I bought it when I was making the tea dresses, which are there, hanging there. So one of them, or two of them maybe, have got this as a lining just from the waist down, like a gathered netting lining. Amazingly, this really fine tulle fabric actually keeps you a lot warmer when you're at a wedding party, evening dew in a barn on a farm. You really appreciate having some gathered tulle underneath your little cotton dress. Actually keeps you a lot warmer. But I've got loads of it left, and it's not that stiff like tutu netting. It's really beautiful sort of. It's obviously not made of silk, but it feels silky, and you can see that it really drapes really well. So I've got quite a lot of that left, and it's just a plain sort of cream colour. So the idea was to cut a very large rectangle, and then if you imagine that's the middle of the rectangle, just sort of cut some kind of butterfly shape at the bottom, curved at the bottom like that, And again, if you have a look on my Instagram, or during the process of making this second pair of wings, I'll do some more photographs, and then it will go on the blog as well. So you'll be able to see some better pictures on the blog, and hopefully I'll get a picture of Mably and possibly Evie once she's got hers. And if their mums don't mind, I might show a picture of that on the blog as well. So anyway, so I needed something to decorate this lovely fabric with. To make it really sort of glimmery and sparkly and beautiful. So I went to the wool shop because what was I hoping to find? Oh, I was hoping to find those strings of sequins and anything sparkly really. But what she had was the most amazing. We looked around the shop for a while. I asked her for some help. We were trying to think of ideas of what we could put on. I wanted it to be really drapey. Whatever it was, I didn't want it to compromise the drapiness of that fabric, because I want these wings to be able to really sort of drape and flow. And then after quite a while, I think I'd found a few things, like some strings of beads. I can't remember what else. Oh yeah, I bought some. Where is it? I bought some. I bought this. It's velvet ribbon with sequins on, which is very sparkly and very pink and really, really pretty. I bought quite a lot of that. The only problem is that this is quite a stiff, it's velvet ribbon, so if I put any large amount of this onto the wings, it's not going to, the fabric wouldn't really drape as well. But I bought it anyway, because I was just casting around really for shiny things to put on these wings. And as I was paying, I looked up, and behind the counter at the very top, hanging off like a little wooden pole, were some skeins of ribbon, which none of us had actually thought to look at before I noticed them. And this was it. So hopefully you're going to be able to see a little bit how shiny and... oh, Charlie, sorry, she's having a wash. But it's really noisy. Don't do that, please. Not while I'm podcasting. Do it in a minute. She'll probably do it again in a minute. She's quite noisy when she's having a wash. She's licking her paws. Anyway, so there's the... Oh yeah, if I move it around in the light, you can see. Hopefully it'll catch the light a little bit. Try and get it back in the shot. Now I'm going to try and keep it still for a little bit, because I've noticed that what I do is, when I'm showing things, I move it around, and it's really hard for you to actually see what it is I'm showing you. So I'm just going to try and keep it still so that you can actually focus on it and not go really dizzy. So it's basically a ribbon, and it's by Louisa Harding, and I don't know where the label is, otherwise I would show you it, but I can show that in the next podcast or on the blog. And of course I'll put the information to this in the notes as well. And it came in different colours, but I've chosen these beautiful spring greens and pinks. That seems to be my theme for the week, actually. I must have been on a green and pink mission, because my fabric was green and pink too. I really absolutely love greens and pinks together. And this has obviously got these other colours, lovely blues and silvers. And the beauty of it is, sewn onto the gossamer, onto the tulle in strips. It's such a lightweight ribbon that everything still drapes beautifully, and it catches the light and it sparkles, and it just looks like an actual fairy's wings. And then I'd bought some little pearl beads. They're not real pearl, but they look like pearls, little purpley pearl beads, and just hand stitched those on, just randomly really, around the bottom, sort of scattered them around the bottom and going upwards. So, and then it was a case of just popping a little bit of, and then there was a bit of gathering up the back, up the spine. If you can imagine, I gathered the tulle up the spine. It's really hard to describe, but I will show you anyway, because I shall make another pair, just to give it that lovely drape. And then simply a couple of loops of elastic at the top here, which would then come around Mably's arm, so one there and one here, just to hold it on like you wear a backpack. And then the tulle was basically as long as her arm span, and a couple of bits of elastic at the wrists, and then she can wear them and flap her wings and fly around and be a fairy. And she absolutely loved them, I've got to say, because I made them. I had to text her mum to say how long is Mabley's arms when she spread. I said, could you spread out a cardigan and just measure from wrist to wrist and tell me? And she texted me back the measurement and said, ooh, I'm very intrigued, what's this? And she told me, because I said there's an Auntie Kate special coming up, because I do quite like to make birthday and Christmas presents for the kids. I don't always make them, but if I can make them, I will. And so I think she knew that there was a handmade present coming up. And last year, Mabley got a princess hat with some of that tulle and some sparkly beads all stuck on, and an M all stitched on the front, and she loved it, and she's still got it actually, so she'll be able to wear them together now. So I think her mum said to me afterwards, she was secretly hoping that possibly it could be a pair of wings, and it was. So, and Mabley, as soon as she opened the present, she literally dived into the wings. She just, like, I blinked and all of a sudden the wings were on her. It was as if they'd always been there. And then that was it. She just kept them on for the whole of the evening, because we went there for tea for her on Thursday, I think it was. Me and Avion went round and had fish fingers and cucumber and beans, which was Mabley's requested birthday tea. And in the garden, which was lovely, and we played on the trampoline with her wings on. And then we watched Stickman. Oh my god, that's so brilliant. It's an animated cartoon by the people that made the Gruffalo, and it's only about 20 minutes long, and I only saw a little bit because we had to go, because Avion had to get to bed because he had to be up at 4. But we put Stickman on, and Mabley and her little sister Miri, who is the cutest little thing in the world ever, well, as all of my nieces and nephews are, but we're watching Stickman. It's brilliant. I've got to go back round and watch it properly with them. And the most entertaining thing was watching Miri, the little one, watching Stickman, because she was living it. She was actually in there feeling everything that was going on. She was actually there with Stickman. It was brilliant. So anyway, I've just rambled about that a little bit, but the wings were very successful. This stuff is brilliant. It's by, did I say? It's by Louisa Harding. It's Silk Ribbon by Louisa Harding. And you can get that in some different colourways. So I think they had it in sort of orange, more of like an orangey reds kind of colourway. There was another one, but I can't remember what the colourway was. So yeah, if you're ever doing a sparkly, lightweight wing kind of fairy project, Silk Ribbon by Louisa Harding. It's brilliant. Yeah, so that was my project in the pipeline. So hopefully next podcast I shall be showing you a pair of wings, because Evie, who will be receiving that second pair, her birthday isn't until July the 4th, so I've got time to make them and actually show them in the podcast before I have to give them to her. And there's also something else I think I'll be making for her birthday, but I'll show you that, I think, again. I'll introduce that into the next podcast, I think, because yeah, I've already spoken loads about. This one's already lasted quite a while, so, and I really want my cup of tea. I'll just quickly show you my mug, because I'm about to have a big slurp of my tea. Avion's sister, Aleri, bought me this for my birthday a few years ago. It says, "Listen to the world." And it's beautiful, and it's got birds on the other side as well. I love anything with birds on. And I love paper cut art. And this is, whoop, I'm trying to get it the right way without spilling it. And keeping it on the screen. It's so weird doing the podcast with this new, in iMovie instead of in photo booth. So it's a Rob Ryan. He's a paper cut artist, a British paper cut artist. And I would really dearly love to have a piece of his paper cut artwork on the wall, but they're a bit beyond what I can afford really. But so I've got a beautiful mug instead, and I love it. It's a nice, really big mug, and it fits lots of tea in it in the morning just when I need it. So I am going to I'm going to finish there, and So sorry that the podcast was in two halves and might look a bit weird and strange the second half. Perhaps the lighting was different, I don't know. We'll see. I'll see in a minute because I'll have a look now when I edit it how that's going to work out. But hopefully you don't mind too much that I did some of it last night and some of it today. So yeah. Thank you very much for joining me. I haven't done the where you can find me thing. I'm on Ravelry's Instagram. No, it's because it's early in the morning. I'm on Ravelry and Instagram as Loop and Bar, all one word. I have a blog, loopandbar.co.uk, but I will of course put everything at the end of the of this. The other thing is, oh no, I will be able to edit it. I was just going to say I don't know how the editing works, but I do, because it's in the same program that I normally edit. So anyway, forget I said that. So thanks for watching, and hope to see you all again in the next episode. Have a very lovely week, and happy knitting, crochet, sewing, crafting, and hopefully we'll get some more lovely, beautiful sunshine as well. Okay, thanks for watching. See you again next time. Bye.